Good morning, everyone. Tervetuloa, welcome, willkommen, everyone, to our virtual Smart Grids and Storage Solutions conference. Actually, it's been already a year since our last conference, but nothing much has changed except for the topic of today's event. But otherwise, we are meeting here virtually instead of in person, unfortunately still. And I'm still the same. So for those who don't know me yet, my name is Kristina Zenke from the German-Finnish Chamber of Commerce. And I have been leading the project for the last 6 months that this conference is a part of. And therefore, I'm very happy to be your host today. And I hope everyone is starting slowly but surely to settle in. And for the first part now, before we go deeper into the program and I tell you a little bit more about the project in general, our managing director, Dr. Jan Feller, would like to say a couple of words.
Yes, thank you, Kristina. Dear participants from Germany and Finland, great to have you with us. My name is Jan Feller. I've had the privilege in my life in both countries, Germany and Finland, to go to school, to study, to found own companies and be employed. And so German and Finnish business is very close to my heart. And I know for a fact that Germany and Finland make very excellent business partners. Germany is Finland's most important trade partner. And that trade covers physical goods, services. There is strong growth in digital expertise over the last years. And over 80% of Finland's exports to Germany go via our 650 member companies, members of the German-Finnish Chamber of Commerce. Every year, actually, we as the Chamber of Commerce, we have 30 people working here in our Helsinki office, with the only task to help to grow business between Finland and Germany. And every year, those people, that fantastic team helps over 50 companies from Germany with finding customers in Finland and vice versa. Every month, they also help over 100 German companies that have maintenance or installation projects in Finland by taking care of all the regulatory HR and tax admin so that those companies can actually concentrate on doing their core business in Finland. As you might know by now, Germany is going through a double energy transition. We are facing a nuclear exit next year and a coal exit by depending on how it turns out, 2035 or 2038. And that double energy transition puts a lot of pressure on smart grids, or on the grid to be smart. And that has led to German companies developing really world-class solutions in that area. Energy storage is obviously becoming more important, and there's a lot of interesting developments there as well, as are in Finland. So some of these great German companies are visiting us in Finland today. And they will meet Finnish energy player later this week. A word to our German participants, maybe if you can, use the same meetings also to learn a bit more about your Finnish counterpart. We have often experienced that actually there is also collaboration possibilities the other way around once you look into what the other company's expertise is. That's all. I was told to be brief. So thank you very much for coming. I'm wishing you a super interesting event today. A lot of new contacts. Be active in your networking, make new connections, and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan, also for being brief. And I asked him to be brief because our schedule is actually quite tight. So let's dive a little deeper. And some of you might be already familiar with our energy-themed conferences. And as I already mentioned, some things are still the same. So there's still a screen between us. And I'm still here, and the team in the background is also still the same. And like last year, also the agenda today consists of one speaker from Germany and 2 speakers from Finland. And on top, we have 8 German companies who will be presenting themselves in short pitches. And those companies are all companies that want to tackle the transformation towards an intelligent electricity grid, and who also offer different kind of approaches to energy storage. So, but there's actually something new this year. So we are using a different webinar tool than we used last year. But this allows us to interact on a more personal level, which is really nice, because especially after the official program here on the stage is over, you have the possibility to use the networking sessions that you can already see there on the left side of your screen under stage. There's the button sessions. So, and then after the program, you can go there and use the chance to network with some Finnish and also German experts. And we divided into five different sessions to different topics, and all of them are very interesting. So you can just take your pick or also hop from one to the other. So, but of course, as there's more technical gadgets here as well, there might be also some issues. So please be in touch with us if something doesn't go perfectly. I think we are all quite familiar with everything that can happen during such an online event already. So yes, but talking about those possible technical issues, let's maybe say shortly hi to our team in the background, Fred and Antti.
Hi.
Hi guys. And thanks for the support. And yeah, without further ado, let's go let's go a bit deeper. And just for you to know, during the whole event, you have on the right side of your screen, you have the chat that you can use during the whole event to post questions or comments or whatever you like. And also, if you happen to have some technical issues, please contact us through the chat, and we try to help you as quick as possible. And yes, the program, as I mentioned, will be now on the stage. So during the next presentations, there's no need to go away from here. Don't stroll off. And in the end, I will let you know when it's time to go to the sessions. But let's start with the program. And as I mentioned already earlier, this virtual conference is part of a bigger project that is financed by the German Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy. And this so-called Energy Solutions Initiative aims to bring German SMEs to the Finnish market. Those are all companies who offer in some way climate-friendly energy solutions and are interested in foreign markets. And during the whole event, we were working closely with a consultant that is based in Berlin by the name of Energiewächter GmbH, and Marta Cavalli of Energiewächter will just give you a quick introduction of the initiative. Stage is yours, Marta.
Microphone.
Yeah, I was just trying to to find a symbol. Thank you very much, Christina, for the warm welcoming, and thank you to your whole team for the successful organization of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, I would like to welcome you to this virtual conference around the topics of smart grids and storage solutions. I'm really happy that this conference has met such a great interest among you in Finland. As we heard yesterday during our briefing, the Finnish electricity system is one of the leading systems in Europe, but even on a global level. So I think that today we will learn a lot from our exchange I'm really happy that I'm here today virtually with 8 German companies, which are going to present you today their climate-friendly energy solutions around the topics of storage technologies, smart grids, and virtual power plants. And we will have also a great program with experts from Germany and from Finland as well. So I think this is a great chance to improve and to strengthen our efforts towards to improve the energy transition in both countries. My name is Martha, and I work as a consultant at the Berlin-based consultancy Energiewächter. We implement, as Christina already said, the so-called German Energy Solutions Initiative, which is a program coordinated and financed by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy. The initiative aims at establishing new business partnerships between German companies and partners such as Finland in many fields, among others in the field of smart grids and storage technologies. The overreaching goal of the initiative is to contribute to the achievement of the international and also national climate protection goals. In order to achieve this goal, the initiative is supporting small and medium-sized enterprises for Germany while distributing their smart and sustainable energy solutions. But the initiative is not only interesting for Germany and for German companies, but also for you in Finland as well, since you are highly invited to participate in our program, such as, for example, through this kind of events and webinars where you can basically know more about the technical know-how of Germany, and you can establish new networking opportunities with our German companies in Germany, in Finland, and also in a virtual way. If you want to know more about the initiative, how you can participate in our program, then I invite you to visit our website. The link I've put down here for you. I can also put the link in the chat for you. It is entirely in English, and there you will find a lot of information and articles about the projects currently being developed right now in Germany. You also find a calendar where you will see the upcoming events of the initiative. You can also find a calendar with German companies listed, and you can filter these companies according to their profile and according to the technologies they are offering. And of course, you will also have the chance to subscribe our newsletter, which is also entirely in English, to stay updated in the initiative. As I told you before, this conference or during this conference, 8 German companies will present their climate-friendly energy solutions, ranging from smart grids to storage solutions, but also virtual power plants. Here you see the name of the companies and their websites. They are here to hear from you. They are looking forward to establishing new partnerships with you in Finland. So during our networking sessions, take the most out of this conference, establish new partnerships, and only together we can move forward a climate neutrality future. That's all from my side. If you have a question, you can reach me out with an email or just write me in the chat. I'm happy to hear from you, and I wish you a successful and interesting conference.
Thank you very much, Martha, and also for keeping the time perfectly. That's how we like it. Let's hope it continues like that. And yeah, thank you for giving a few words about the initiative, which is a really nice program. So always good to hear a bit more about that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So let's start with our first German speaker. First up today is Dr. Jan Fritz Redberg, who will be talking about the role of storage in the future power grid. And Dr. Jan Fritz Redberg is the Chief Innovation Officer of the city of Dortmund in Germany. and he is head of urban policy guidelines in the Lord Mayor's office and coordinates the city's smart city, digitalization and technology strategy. He is also a member of the management board of Smart City Alliance Dortmund, as well as the spokesman for the Competence Center for Electromobility, Infrastructure and Power Grids in Dortmund, and many more roles that I don't fit in here anymore. So yeah, welcome, Dr. Redberg, and I'll give the stage straight to you.
Thank you so much, Christina. Yes, there are a lot of roles here in Dortmund, as I'm responsible for the city's technology strategy. So there's about digitization and energy systems and e-mobility and all that stuff. Today, I want to talk about the integration of storage. I try to share my screen, and I hope it works. Just to give you a short overview of what we think the role of storage in future power grids could be, especially having in mind our renewable energy goals in Germany, the so-called Energiewende, and especially the impact this energy transition has on our urban power grids. Like the city of Dortmund is one of the 10 biggest cities in Germany. It's surrounded by a rural area on the one hand side, but part of the metropolitan area, Ruhr, on the other hand side. And so we are more or less on the interface of the rural energy system that is dominated more or less by the integration of renewables, and on the other hand, our more or less load-dominated urban power system. And in our opinion, there will have to be storage, especially at this interface. But just give you a short overview of what I'm going to talk about in the next 15 to 20 minutes. I'd like to give you some insights, what we think the challenges in the German power systems are, then some effects on renewable integration, the impact of storage, and a short conclusion in the end. So what are the challenges, especially in our German power system? And as I know, I don't have to tell Finnish colleagues how a power system should look like. You might know our German power system, and it is quite similar to your Finnish. Also, of course, there are less people, there are less cities in Finland, and there's more rural area. But in the end, you are focusing on a stable power system as well. So the challenges might be comparable between our two countries. Our, let's say, grown or classical power system consists in Germany of 7 network levels. These are the 4 main levels, the extra high voltage, the high voltage level, the medium voltage, and the low voltage level, and this, let's call it transformation levels between. In the past, it was more or less a one-way system from high or extra high voltage to the low voltage. So the feed-in of power and energy was on the higher voltage levels, and the load more or less on the lower. And households, for example, or buildings in the cities, they were just consumers in the past. And this changed due to the Energiewende, due to the transition or transformation of our power grid and the implementation of more and more renewable sources. So in the past, we were talking about the feed-in, as I said, on the high voltage level and the load on the lower voltage level, and this absolutely turned around. So of course, there's still the power plants on the extra high voltage level, but on each of the voltage levels, we implemented a lot of renewable energy sources. Even on the transmission grid level, there is the integration of offshore wind, for example, on the distribution. So the transregional distribution grids, the high voltage level, there are the big wind parks, there are natural gas and water power power plants, but especially on the lower voltage levels, there was a massive increase of renewable energy sources. On the medium voltage level, that means the regional distribution of power, there was the integration of big photovoltaics parks, biomass, water power, wind parks, and so on. And the industry that was more or less pure load in or a consumer in the past, they are turning around a little bit when we're talking about smart factories and so on. They're integrating their new or their own renewable sources. They are providing, for example, heat and all that stuff. So it isn't a one-way system anymore. It is more or less a system of dialogue, of inter or exchange, and the most highest increase of renewable energy sources was on the local distribution grid level, and that means in these areas where the people are living, where our households are, where the cities are, and all that stuff, there we integrated smaller wind power, but especially combined heat and power and photovoltaics on the rooftops of our houses. There are new loads and like e-mobility and all that stuff, and we are talking. You might know it as you're talking about it, or we are talking about it all over Europe, not only the consumer level, but the prosumer level. So the question, how to balance out these more and more complex local distribution grid is one of the main issues we have, for example, in our cities, in our regions. So that leads to a power grid reinforcement plan for Germany, and leads to a massive expansion of our power grid on every level. And we are talking, for example, on the transmission grid level, we are talking about 3,000 kilometers of lines on the high voltage and extra high voltage level, and also high voltage DC that we are going to install. And we are talking about an invest of about 20 million euro until 2022, and about more than 50 billion we are estimating until 2050. It sounds a lot when we are talking about 3,000 kilometers of line, but to be honest, that might be the easier part of the grid reinforcement, and the difficult part, in my opinion, is on the lower voltage levels, because when we are talking about the expansion and reinforcement of the low voltage grid, we are talking about construction sites in our cities. We are talking about building new grids and new grid infrastructure in the areas where the people live, and we are not talking about the big lines that we try to integrate in the more or less rural areas. So on the distribution network, we are talking about between, we don't know the exact numbers, we are talking about 27 to 42 billion euro invest until 2030 to deal with the so-called Energiewende and the integration of renewables. So the effects of the renewable integration is that we are reaching the limits of capacity and voltage, especially in our distribution grid level. So we have a growing share of distributed renewables, especially photovoltaics and wind parks and so on. And in the past, we thought, everything is fine because we have more photovoltaics, and on the other hand, there will be the electric cars, like new loads and so on, and that will balance out and everything will be fine. This unfortunately didn't come true, not so surprising to be honest, because the situation is, especially when we are talking about electric cars, they are charging in the morning and in the evening. Not very surprising, and the distributed renewables, especially photovoltaics, is feeding in over day. So the situation is that the feed-in increases in mid of day, and the new loads increasing in the morning and in the evening. But doesn't balance out. So we need a solution to bring the new loads, let's say, to the times during day when the distributed renewables are feeding in. Or if this doesn't work, we will need storage. So there is a need of implementation of innovative devices, of grid and operation control concepts, but especially a need to implement storage to balance out the feed-in of distributed renewables and the new loads. So renewable energy source more or less harms our power grids when we are talking about just the electrotechnical numbers. So one of the measures, for example, is the rate, the power gradient. That is a rate of change in power. That means when the sun shines or sun is coming up or wind is coming up, the renewable energy sources are feeding into our grid. And on the other hand side, we have to more or less switch off the conventional power plants. And if there is the clouds coming up or no more wind and so on, the conventional power plants have to react and have to supply power into the power grid. And this power gradient means the rate of change of power in a quarter of an hour. So in 2011, one example, when the sun was coming up, there was a rate of about 2,000 megawatt in a quarter of an hour. When we are estimating our renewable expansion plans, and we are estimating the year 2033, then we are talking about a power gradient of more or less 6,000 megawatts in a quarter of an hour, and we are talking about what you can see on the bottom of the graph. We are talking about times where the residual load, so the conventional power plants have to switch off totally, where we have a surplus of renewables, and we will only manage these situations when we will have enough storage in the end. So the impact of storage could be to help stabilize our power grid. We calculated two scenarios that showed us how storage, so also decentralized storage, could help. In the first graph, you can see the scenario of no storage. That means quite a steep ramp when the sun is coming up or the sun is going down. That means a power gradient of what I told you before, about 6,000 megawatt in a quarter an hour, where the rest of the power grid has to react on when sun is going down, for example. And if there is a scenario where only 20% of the photovoltaics would be equipped with decentralized storage, and only 20% of the PV power that is feeding in and the energy could be taken by storage, then there would be a chance to decrease this power gradient from 6,000 megawatt to about 3,000 megawatt, and to decrease the maximum residual load from 46,000 megawatt to 40,000 megawatt. If we would be able to cover 40% of the PV power and energy, and would be able to store it in decentralized storage, for example, there would be the situation that there will be a power gradient that is lower than the one I showed you for 2011. That means from about 6,000 megawatt in a quarter of an hour, we would decrease or come down to about 2,000 megawatt. And the maximum residual load, so more or less the reserve, could be decreased from 46 to 35,000. So in a technical way, decentralized storage really could make sense. So to have a storage for each photovoltaic on each rooftop would be the absolute optimum. As we all know, there's no real business model at the moment for that. That's why won't work in that way. But from a technical or grid perspective, it would be one of the really good solutions to deal with the energy transition. But it won't be enough just to integrate a small storage on every rooftop, because where we still have a lack is the question of how to manage the power grid and how to bring the smartness into the grid. So we are all talking about smart grids, but to be honest, our power grid isn't really smart. It is very stable for sure, but it isn't smart, especially not on the distribution grid levels, because the means of being smart are missing in the end. What we will need is a kind of a combination of a decentralized and centralized control. So what I want to say is storage doesn't really make sense without the necessary intelligence in the power grid. So we need solutions to manage load and manage supply and consumption and bring it all together and balance our grid. And balancing it means, in my opinion, that we will be able to have on the distribution grid levels that we have district power systems, where we have some in Dortmund, where we have some research projects on. So we need kind of district power systems that are balancing out itself. So where we have the combination of new loads and renewable integration and some storage. But we need also an intelligent interface to the higher grid level. So a city power grid in the future has to consist of several district power systems integrated into a city power system that is balancing out itself on the other hand. So and this has to have a smart interface to the regional power systems and so on. And that means we need a kind of a centralized control. So the view from top to bottom, to have a look at the European and the German power system, defining some requirements for the lower systems, and we need to have decentralized controls. That means from the lowest power or voltage area in the district and the regional power or the regional grid level and so on, and this has to work together. And therefore we need a valid transmission and distribution grid model working with each other, connected to each other, and we need some more measuring devices, some more tracking devices, we need controllable substations, we need frequency dependent loads and voltage dependent loads, which we can switch on or off, and we need at all the interfaces and on all levels of the power grid, we need balance in power provided by storage, by loads and like e-mobility and all that stuff. And this is, in my opinion, the biggest issue we have, because it is a very complex system, and it needs a lot of intelligence and a lot of algorithms and a lot of digitization within all areas of the power grid. And as I said before, especially on the lower power grid levels, especially in the more or less old distribution grids within our cities, there is a real lack of smartness. So to come to an end, in my opinion, the conclusion is we have to deal with two main areas. On the one hand side, the urban areas that will be dominated by load and consumption, although in the future, like in the rural area, like the metropolitan areas on the Rhine, Munich, Berlin, and so on, they won't be able to produce enough energy and power by itself. Even if we are equipping every rooftop in Dortmund with a photovoltaic, it won't be enough. And on the other hand side, we have the rural areas that are dominated by the renewable energy sources, and we need to use the potentials for both, for large scale and for small scale storage in both areas. So there might be larger storage when it comes to rural wind parks, and a lot of decentralized storage on the rooftops of the cities. And on the other hand side, we need an offset via an energy market, and especially intelligent means in the transmission and distribution grids. And therefore, in my opinion, there is a need for a real holistic storage strategy, having in mind every voltage level we have in our power grid. That was a short overview of what we think storage could be in the future power grid, and just to give you an insight about what is our issue, for example, in the city of Dortmund, when we're thinking about the expansion or the renovation of our power grid. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Redberg, for your contribution to the conference and all those insights on the German market. And we actually have two questions, but due to the time, I have to choose one. So maybe later on, you can answer the other one in the chat. So Marco is asking, how's the system integration, meaning power versus heat, proceeding in Germany? And he mentions also that it can, in some extent, solve some flexibility challenges.
Yeah, it will. For example, here in Dortmund, like in many bigger areas, we have district heating systems that are more than 50 years old, and they are going to be renovated now. And the idea is to integrate combined heat and power, and to combine the electricity system and the heat system. So in Dortmund, for example, we are integrating so-called we call it energy centrals, let's say, and they are that we have a combined heat and power that is feeding into our district heating system, and on the other hand, we want to equip it with battery storage for surplus energy that is coming up by producing heat. So there is it is going on in this area, and it is becoming more and more important. And on the other hand side, we also have the question what to do with these installations in summertime, where there's no need for heat in the end. But due to climate change, there is a increasing need for cold. And heat in a physical way, heat is a cold with a minus. So we will have new systems, and it is going on in this area. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There actually just came another question, but you're going to be around later on and also available.
I try to, yeah.
Sure. And also hopefully available in the network sessions later. So, or otherwise we will give you the questions later, and maybe you can.
Sure, I'll be happy to answer on emails or whatever. So feel free to contact me.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and our next program point is the first part of our German company presentations, the 8 companies that Martha already mentioned. And as I mentioned also before, this another part of this project is the individual B2B meetings that we are arranging for those 8 participating companies from Germany. And in case now, after the short pitches, your interest is sparked, feel free to get in touch with us. You can send an email to me. We will post it shortly in the chat, how to reach us, and we can still arrange meetings for you, even this week or in the near future. So don't be shy to ask if there's an interest. And yes, first company up is one company that already actually joined us in our last year's project, and again is here today, which is really nice. So first one up is Eike from the company Energy and Meteor Systems.
Thank you, Christina. Your program fits very well to. Can you please Thank you. So your program fits very well to our company. So I don't know if you're doing it only for us, but we take the chance to present our company here in Finland. And I would like to briefly introduce energy and meteor systems and the services around that we provide for our clients. So Energy and Meteor Systems was founded in 2004 by the two founders, Dr. Matthias Lange and Dr. Ulrich Focken. They are still the owners. Each of them owns 50% of the company, so owner managed all the time. We are located in Oldenburg in the north of Germany, and actually, we have about 130 employees. Most of them are software developers, physics, and meteorologists. And what we are doing is we have two main products. One of the products is power forecasting, wind and solar power forecasting especially. That was the focus on the last year. And this year, the focus should be our virtual power plant solution. This is a software as a service solution with an own developed software I'll briefly describe later. Around that, we have some other services especially for grid operators. So we do also vertical grid load forecasting, grid flow calculations, and especially in the new European regime that is actually implemented in some countries, we provide with our future power flow platform redispatch services for grid operators. Who are our customers? Mainly grid operators and traders and aggregators. So a lot of different TSOs in Europe and all over the world are our clients. Besides that, now more and more distribution grid operators are our clients as well. The big aggregators and traders of renewables across Europe and across the world are clients as well. Where are we active at the moment? You see, we are active a lot all over the world, already in Finland, but not yet for many Finnish customers. So yes, we do power forecast, for instance, for wind farms that are placed in Finland, but not for the Finnish companies yet. And we do virtual power plant services already for a lot of European customers in a lot of countries, but not in Finland yet. So we try to use this chance to make our company more visible in your country. What are our services in detail? I give only a brief overview. If I talk about forecasting, I talk about the operational forecasting, which means we are forecasting now what a site that is already built up will produce in the near future. So in a time horizon of up to 15 days, we can create a forecast in a resolution of down to 5 minutes. And we provide this service to grid operators and aggregators and traders of renewable energies. For the TSOs and DSOs, we provide vertical grid load forecasting and also grid flow calculations. So if you are a grid operator and have to integrate a lot of renewables and have congestions, perhaps we can help on that topic. And with our virtual power plant solution, which is an own developed software platform to integrate renewables into markets, we can help traders and aggregators to, for instance, combine batteries together to work as one big battery or renewable generation in general. We're doing it already for more than 50 gigawatts across Europe, and perhaps we can establish this business in Finland as well. So thank you for your attention, and have a great conference.
Thank you very much, Eike, and perfect timing, 5 minutes on the spot. And I haven't seen any questions yet in the chat, so let me just ask you, is Energy Meteor already active with its virtual power plant in Finland or in any other close by markets? Because you mentioned you already have some forecasting, but how about the virtual power plant?
Not in Finland yet, but in the Baltic region, so in Estonia, we have our first Baltic virtual power plant solution established last year with AHK Energia. Yeah, we are now searching also for more clients in the Nordics.
Okay, perfect. Let's hope it will succeed, maybe this week already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and next up from our German companies is Harry Wesser, who is representing Energy to Market. Very similar name, also similar offering. Harry, stage is yours.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Both, all right. So my name is Harry Wesser, and I try help Energy to Market to establish a foothold in Finland. We have key messages to battery owners or battery projects in Finland. We have a new owner, and the battery system marketing is very much in the core of our current roadmaps. We have motivation, reference, and know-how to how to do that. And we have rapid access for potential batteries, energy sources. In Finland, we have a cooperation with Vare, fourth largest energy selling company in Finland. And we know that it pays off to partner with us.
Sorry when I interrupt. Harry, do you want to show your slides? We can't see them yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't see them?
No, not yet.
Okay. So where do I need to push? Yes, I understand now. Now better?
Yeah, and now you can still press the presentation mode in the downer list. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks.
All right, the 4 messages over here. And a little bit about Energy to Market as a company. We are, to mention, a leading aggregator in Europe. In Germany, we are a major player. We have 11 years old history, children of the energy vendor, 332 million turnover, very much trading. But why we are in Finland, it is that we want to provide our virtual power plant as service. And what does it mean? It means aggregated demand, aggregated storing of electricity, and aggregated production of electricity, and to put these aggregated loads onto the different energy markets. In Finland, the momentum is currently on. These are from the Finnish Energy Authority. Prices go to minus, lots of volatility. It's a trader stream gradually what we are going to get over here in Finland. Our message is that battery storages, they are for FCR markets the optimum. And as a matter of fact, in every smart grid, there are 2 elements. There is storing of electricity in one form or another, and there's an intelligent virtual power plant. So this seminar and audience and visits and meetings we're going to have, it's a perfect match. Overall, 24/7, the money is made usually next to the consumption hour, very close to real time. And in order to do that, you have lots of startups trying to do that. But if you speak with us, we have a proven secure environment, all possible certificates, the German engine, so to say. If you want to get in touch, you can do it either through myself or then through our partner Vare, who have been building their pool since 3 years, and this is the contact information. As a reference, alone in Germany we have over 55 megawatts of batteries, and together with the new owner EDF, we are expanding tremendously in France and UK, and hopefully we are able to get the benefit of those roadmaps to the Finnish customers and Finnish projects as well. So the 4 messages we missed in the beginning to see. So we in our roadmaps, battery systems are in the core. We are relaxed. We have motivation, reference, know-how, all of it readily available. Also connection in Finland. And if you have a battery project, it can be research, it can be a commercial one. Please speak with us.
Yes, thank you very much, Harry. Also very well on time. Thank you. Yeah, let me also ask you one question. How can companies especially with battery projects in Finland, get started with flexibility marketing through a cooperation with EU Energy to Market?
Well, we have several cases going on at the moment. And first of all, we usually step in at the stage where decision has been made, rough sizing of the battery is determined, permits at least have been applied, maybe there is an estimation of when they are going to be approved. And what we have learned that we need to be a little bit earlier discussing with the partners before the battery projects have been published. In Germany, we usually step in at the permit stage when the permits have been gained. So we need to be earlier involved, and there are different interests. You can build a battery as a backup system to grid, next to the hydropower plant, next to the solar panel, next to the industrial site, etc. And through the references, and we have been in a Smart Otaniemi project, for instance, 3.5 years in research. Through the peer-to-peer discussions, you usually get to know these people. So please come and say hello to us, or if you want to proceed through the other way, Vare Energy is our reliable partner as well.
All right, thank you. Let's go on without further ado to our third company, who is presented by Professor Dr. Hans-Peter Schwefel, and he's presenting the German company Grid Data. If he's here already, let's see. Okay. Yes, there he is. Hey.
Good, thank you.
Stage is yours. You can go right in.
Excellent. When you listened to the keynote speaker before, Jan, you heard that the distribution grids are particularly stressed from the energy transition. And this is actually what I would like to talk about, what we do at Grid Data. We work with the distribution grid operators. We change the way they plan and operate the distribution grid so that they can use the actual grid status in their considerations. And that's not easy. I'm still trying to share my slides, but that's also not easy. Because the window is minimized. Oops, sorry, this was the wrong one. Let's see if that works. Now I do hope that you see my slides, not in presentation mode. Let's see if that changes.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you. So, we're targeting the distribution grid operators. We want to make them utilize the actual grid status in their operations and planning. And the difficult thing in the low and medium voltage grid levels is that the measurements in the grids are heterogeneous. There's diverse types of devices. You don't have this dedicated measurement infrastructure which you have in higher voltage levels. So you want to use measurements from smart meters, you want to use measurements from inverters, you have substation measurements, and these all have different formats. You have places where you're not measuring, so you need something better than just processing measurement data locally. You need to build up a digital twin of a distribution grid and then have applications which support the distribution grid operator in their operations and planning. And this is what the grid data software solution does. So we have a data fusion hub which connects to different data sources, different types of measurements and grid topology data. There's no data entry to the system. It's automatic interfaces where customized to the specific grid operator. We do make a digital image, a digital twin of a distribution grid by also calculating properties of the grid which are not measured. And then we have a sequence of applications which support the distribution grid operator in their daily work with respect to fault management, with respect to grid monitoring and grid efficiency, and also for the future use of flexibility in the grids. You heard the storage example in the keynote talk before. So an example, if you see, for instance, this is one of the fault localization applications. So the distribution grid operator sees an abstracted image of the grid. There's the substation in the middle. There's junction boxes on the streets. And it immediately can see, based on off-the-shelf smart meter measurements and other types of devices, that there's an outage in the grid, and also the cause of the outage, the short circuit here, and the fuse being burned here in this junction box. And of course, there are statistics which later on also automatically are taken for the grid operator to work with. So this is one example application, fault management domain. There's many, many more, and they all support the distribution grid operator. So key messages here from our side is we build up this digital twin, we use measurements and structural data, we use automatic interfaces, we integrate with different heterogeneous data in a way that it can be linked together. We can get insights into the grid, even if you have missing and erroneous measurement or topology data. The whole thing is very easy to set up because in some sense all automatic interfaces. It can be a cloud and a local installation. And in the end, it's a direct influence on the DSO processes for operation and planning. Now, why are we interested to discuss with Finnish contacts? Well, we are so far in Germany, Austria, and Denmark on the market. And we have strong cooperations in all these three countries. And now we would like to extend to full Scandinavia because the regional distribution grid operation structure is particularly interesting. Our system is so easy to establish and use, and particularly for regional distribution grid operators. So we are interested to speak with distribution system operators, but also with companies who make measurement devices, measurement infrastructure, and of course also future innovation projects to make intelligence in the grid happen. That is for us interesting. If you would like to learn more about it, we actually have an event in Denmark on May 26. You can always contact us, and then you learn more about the technology. And you see 3 members of the grid data staff here, myself, Manfred Reitenspies, and Klaus Strasser. All 3 of us will be present, also Nuno Silva, who's not on this slide, and we look forward to discussing further with you. So much on grid data, digital twin of a distribution grid for operational planning of the grid.
Thank you so much for the brief introduction. And I also got one question for you, as for everyone. And the question is, how can a Finnish distribution operator get to know the grid data solution in more detail? Are there opportunities to see the system running, for example, in another grid, or even show the system in a part of their own grid?
Actually, both of the paths which you mentioned are possible. We know that many of the DSOs are still blind. They may have smart meter data which they partially access, but they haven't had an automatic system, and they didn't have this strategy to have fully digital processes to operate the grid. So it's new for many of them. As such, both possibilities are there actually. We can demonstrate the system. We have agreements with other grid operators where we say for some parts of this grid and for some parts of this data, we're actually able to show the live system in operation. And we also offer to the distribution grid operators to set up a small-scale system in their own grid. We connect some of the data sources. It's typically a low-voltage grid behind one substation or a medium-voltage grid feeder, where we install this as a pilot installation, we call it, and then the DSO can really see and experience the system and the applications on his own data, and also learn about data quality, by the way, from this step. So both are possible, seeing it as a first step and then experiencing it live in your own grid.
Yeah, sounds great, actually. Thank you so much. Yes, and then we still have one last company here in the first German company session, so to speak. And this is Pierre Filon of the company Bable. I hope I said it right.
Yeah, no worries. So the name is always the first hurdle. So my name is Pierre. I'm speaking to you from the company of Bable. We're a spin-off from the Fraunhofer Research Institution. It's like something like the German VTT. And I hope you now can see my screen. I'm just double checking. Looks like perfect. So for the next 3.5 minutes, I'm now talking about not only energy, but about like the shift we need in cities. And at the end, like how we see it is like that our cities are getting smarter every day. But as they make a radical shift towards a better urban life, that's the main important part. And cities and also all the companies providing all the technologies are like taking more into control, going there and taking part of this smart city journey. But on the other side, it's like building a puzzle, and it's like you're adding new pieces, and at the end, I think that's what we wanted to facilitate and what we want to foster is like that people start building this puzzle, and like that cities on the one hand get the right solutions for their story, and on the other side vendors find the right fit for the real value. And so it's still a puzzle to be solved, waiting to be solved. Here at the end, what is the goal, what we have? So that smart cities are more than just a tech market trend or whatever. And what is special, what we do? So I really try to bring it to 3 core elements if you want to have success in the energy market with like distinctive solutions in the field of cities, companies. So first of all, we have in the center, we have on the left side companies which have the products to realize or to solve the challenges. On the other side, we have the city offices which have the challenge. And the companies want to find the right fit for the product. So at the end, we have like 3 elements in this whole market. And the first element is that you have use cases. So it's like success stories of successful implementations. There's a second element are the products. Is like the products are solving this this challenge. And at the end, we also have the solutions which which are like blueprints in which we analyze on like what to do and how to do it. And give me a second. I'm just jumping. So and how do we want to do this? So and what do we have for that? So at the end, we really want to simplify innovation and implementation processes in cities. And there we have 4 parts, sorry. And the first one is like that we have a smart city platform where we connect cities and companies. The second part is that we have a digital toolbox where we also can implement digital tools. For example, like a solar calculation tool for city managers. And we have also the training at the lower bottom, which is really about like how to learn all those things. And at the end, we guide also this or the whole process. So at the end, what we have on the platform, we have 350 use cases already, more than 100 cities, 350 companies in 30 countries and 30 collaborative projects. And ending, I want with some success stories where I show you like different projects where we did stuff in different parts of Europe. We did training for Bosch. We did Leipzig Net Zero Plan. We developed a smart city toolbox with UCL. We have a certified training, and we do, for example, a project also. It's called Sparks with on positive energy. really keen for any question and looking forward so that we can just work together on this journey, and that you as a company, you can share your products on our platform, and also the city can do this, share their success stories.
Thank you so much. I know from our cooperation that you have been active already in Finland with working with some cities in Finland. So maybe you could share some of your learnings from earlier cooperations here in Finland.
Christina, can you just repeat the question? It's just like I think my internet connection has a lag.
Yes, of course. I just said that you have been active already earlier in Finland with cooperating with some cities. Were there some special learnings from those earlier cooperations here in Finland?
Yeah, actually, so we had a project with the city of Tampere where we connected them with 3 other cities around Europe on a specific topic. And the biggest learning was that I think the challenges which we have in Germany, in Spain, or in other countries are pretty comparable. For sure, the everything around is different, but the approaches and the challenges while doing a sustainable project often are the same. And so I think the biggest learning is that the exchange of knowledge and the exchange of experiences, like what went well, what didn't went well, is key for innovative and sustainable projects.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and that was already the first part of our program today. We are going to have a short break so you can let the first presentation sink in a little bit and get a refill on your coffee or water or tea or whatever it is that you prefer. And then we will meet again back here and continue with the program at 11:15 Finnish time. All right. As part of us, at least, are German, we are very punctual, or at least try to be. So let's continue with the program. And next up is our first Finnish speaker, Bernd Schalin, who will tell us a bit more about the Smart Energy Åland project, or demo. And Bernd is the CEO of Flexens, the company founded to export the solutions demonstrated in the Smart Energy Åland testbed. And Bernd is an experienced business leader with a long track record in the sector. And yes, he's already here, so we can dive right in.
All right. I just have to find the presentation to share.
Yes.
It has to be up on the screen. Like this. And then
yes, now we can see it.
Yes, so a very good day to everyone. I hope you hear me. I will tell you about one of the most ambitious demonstrations and the services that has been created based on this testbed and demonstration, which is called Smart Energy Åland here in Finland. We have a proud history rooted in the research programs of the Finnish innovation community, which did some quite extensive studies about smart grids and energy markets of the future about between 5 and 10 years ago. And in the end of this research program, they started to look for a place to do a real-life demonstration of the future energy system and identified the islands of Åland as the ideal demo site. We all know, I think, who are in the industry, that islands are ideal places to model energy systems and to try to build the society as a whole. And also islands have very specific challenges with making the grid stable. So there were many reasons to select Åland as a test bed. Then about 3 years was spent studying the Åland energy system in detail and doing the scenarios and models of what it would mean if Åland would be run 100% on renewables only. And in the spring of 2018, the decision was made to incorporate a company to implement the demonstration in real life and use the learnings to create business opportunities. And the implementation started, and we now have a project portfolio of real life demonstrations of several very interesting technologies necessary to make a society work on renewables only. And the company is going to become a major project developer in the renewable energy system field based in Finland, but of course already started with an international story. Åland was selected first of all because up here in the region we have the best wind and solar conditions, and Åland is a self-governed area within Finland, which has the energy market regulation as its own legislative competence. So we have this dream of a regulatory sandbox in place. And the islanders have had a very ambitious and also won a prize for their overall sustainability agenda that has been built up over the last few years. Compared to many other island demonstrations, Åland is a full-scale society with 30,000 inhabitants, a versatile industry and service sector, and of course all islands have challenges with transportation sector issues. And as we are working within the Nordic electricity market, which was deregulated already back in 1995, and we have a lot of both hydropower and nuclear power in the Nordic grid, we have a very competitive business environment for the actors on the market, which have made implementation of renewables a challenging proposition in this market, which means that any solution demonstrated and validated in this market will be applicable anywhere at a very cost-efficient level. And of course, we are part of EU and have all the EU regulation issues to deal with in the market. And being part of the tempered climate zone, we also have the heating and cooling as important parts of this demonstration. We have district heating system in the city on 2 of the cities on the island, and we also have a lot of individual heated houses. And we have the cooling challenge in hot summer days in all the office building on the island. And we have a very active innovation environment, both in Finland and in Sweden, who are our neighbors. And this has created the possibility to be also an R&D operator in this field. Our thinking was that if we are successful in demonstrating a system that works 100% on renewables in a full-scale society, we would be, I would say, almost a bit stupid if we could not create a business out of it. And the decision was made to become a project development company with focus on system integration, sector coupling, and of course the storage solutions, to repeat what was done with wind and solar as major project developers over the last 10 years in the market. So our intention is to roll out and scale up the solutions demonstrated on Åland going forward. And we are already on a good way to do that. So how do we do it? First of all, we have in-house energy system design capability and using the really world-class modeling tool Plexus and a team of certified modelers, so that we can really take any society into the picture, we have a software tool to collect all the energy data from the society, to visualize it and keep it as support for decision making. And we have created a citizen engagement program to really deal with the citizens of the society in their roles, both as private individuals, but also decision makers in municipalities and cities and on the regional government level here. And our intention is to start developing energy assets in the market with both the funding and the technical aspects of the system at the core of our competencies. How we do it on Åland? We have first of all helped in creating the energy transition agenda on the society level. And we started up early in the implementation phase of the project with an extensive citizen engagement program. And we are now at the phase where we have started to build subsystem assets necessary to make this energy system work 100% on renewables. And looking forward to the really decentralized, full-scale electrified society going down the road. How we see the energy system on this island, and of course in any society, to be able to implement the energy transition as a whole, which we heard some good examples about in the morning. This sector coupling will be at the core, and of course the integration of any kind of storage assets into the system. And on Åland, we have made sure that we have demonstrations of technologies in all of the subsystems to be able to really keep the model of society as a whole in the picture. And when we've gone in depth into solving this puzzle of having sufficient resources for flexibility in the market, we really have seen that the only way to do it is to include synthetic fuels and the power-to-X sector as a key component in the system. And that means that we have taken as Flexens a high-profile approach to the whole EU Clean Hydrogen Alliance and various activities in the hydrogen economy. Because if we look at the Åland Island and several other islands where we have networked ourselves, especially in the island societies, transportation sector is a major source of greenhouse gas emissions. And this is why this synthetic fuel becomes so important in our mix. On Åland itself, the traffic sector is more than half of the greenhouse gas emissions, and in several other island societies we have looked at, we can see that the getting to and from the island part of the shipping is a key element of the emissions. And this leads further to the fact that our most high-profile demonstration is a hydrogen ferry on the island as a means of sector coupling and storage, really, from the energy system point of view. If you look at the model sources of renewable energy for a society like Åland, and this is the modeling of Åland which is behind this. And we have excluded nuclear from our demonstration because of the size of the society. It doesn't make sense to have a nuclear power plant on an island of this size. And also otherwise, there is discussion about whether nuclear is a part of the future solution or not. But if we want to make this society work 100% on renewables, most of the primary power will have to come directly from sun and wind. And no society has a sufficient biomass available to be a source of primary energy for the system. We are lucky here. We have quite good forest growth, which means that we can have a little bit more bioenergy than most other societies on a sustainable scale. But the conclusion, if you take everything from weather-dependent sources, you actually need to find a lot of storage. And we modeled this society. If we would back up our current consumption profile with batteries, it would cost us almost 2 billion euros, when our grid connections to the neighboring countries have cost us only 150 million. So that means that any other storage facility we have in the system will have a big role. And in this case, we are looking in depth into heat storage technologies for the heating systems on the island, which are 1/10 of the cost of batteries. And we are looking at the whole flexibility capacity of the transportation system, which will be basically with hydrogen and synthetic fuels. This capturing of CO2 is still not very far developed on our demonstration platform. But taking this helicopter view, we get very interesting conclusions and find out that if we want to run our society 100% on renewables, we need the hydrogen economy into the picture. So if you look what we have demos in the pipeline, as I said, the prime example in an island society for the sector coupling and the storage capacity of hydrogen is the transportation sector, and we are developing a hydrogen ferry which will be supplied by green hydrogen produced by local wind power on the island. And this is a very replicable concept. There are 2,400 inhabited islands in Europe, and virtually all of them have the biggest carbon dioxide emissions from the getting to and from the island transportation sector. We are lucky here to have an abandoned mine where we will implement a pumped hydro storage facility for electricity. And we have created a couple of energy communities, and this one on the island of Tjökar within our archipelago is actually now funded by the EU Horizon program, together with 4 other energy islands around Europe, which is an exciting project just kicked off here in May. Then we have a couple of smart buildings and a storage facility to be built in our next wind park. And if we turn the page, we also look at utilizing the wooden biomass from our forest a bit better with the biochar process, where the excess heat will be a flexible heat resource for our heating systems. And we are piloting the flexibility market concepts that I think also was highlighted, especially on the DSO bottleneck level. Of course, also the TSO aspect is in the picture on our innovative market model design here. And we are looking at multiple technologies to decarbonize the district heating system and the traffic solutions. So this was really what I had prepared here. So I would like to leave room for questions and comments. And happy to network further after this meeting.
Perfect timing, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the insights from Åland. Also, very beautiful island. I actually haven't visited myself, but so if you like to know more about Åland energy system, you can also combine it with a nice tourist trip as soon as it is possible and safe again, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually have one question from Aku, and he is asking, or first stating and then asking, component and system dynamics have major importance in smaller energy systems and in planning their control systems, especially in the case of sector coupling. Do you have tools for that in Flexens?
Yeah. Our major tool is of course the modeling, which we can do on down to the second level in the system to understand the challenges. Then for each and every flexibility resource that we connect through sector coupling to the grid will of course have its own control system. If you look at real life conditions on Åland in the grid, we are in a way lucky. some of the people on the market here said that we are coming to solve a problem that we don't have, because Åland has good grid connections both to Sweden and Finland, which work as virtual batteries in real time. So on this island, we don't have a specific grid stability problem yet. So part of the demonstrations we do are, in a way, in that respect, a bit theoretical.
Okay, thank you.
But we have,
yeah. Please continue if you still have something.
Yeah, just saying that we have a good grip on all the issues related to this question, and using this detailed modeling tool, we can really integrate any flexibility resource into the grid here very efficiently.
Yeah. Okay.
And we know exactly the cost and impacts of it.
Yes, great. Okay, thank you so much once more, Bernd. And as you mentioned, we will see you also in one of the sessions in the networking after the program has ended. So also if there's still more questions or a need to discuss further, you can find Bernd there in one of the sessions. Okay, so we will go on with the next German company presentations. We are just going to have a tiny technical break, but we'll be back here in a few seconds. So just sit tight. Thanks.
Inductive reactive power, fast reactive power. So that's what we do. Just a few references, and I will go to renewable energy at the beginning because I think that is a very, very important issue. We do a lot of concrete substations for wind parks and similar installations where we have power factor correction to achieve grid compliance. Where we build turnkey solutions, we get the data from the grid park and more or less provide the concrete substations with everything. That is working quite nicely. We are building several dozens of these concrete substations every year for, of course, several dozen wind parks. Another solution we provide specifically for the renewable energy market is a very interesting phenomenon we have in solar parks, also in wind parks, but mainly in solar parks. You have huge cable distances, and with these cables you have a transformer. You have a cable, the transformer is an inductivity, the cable is a capacity, and that is what happens. You get a grid resonance. And that very often leads to serious trouble, because as soon as the energy reaches a certain point, the grid resonance causes the whole solar park to trip. That can cost a fortune. This is a 70 megawatt solar park, and it tripped every time around 11 o'clock when the sun was shining. Power, 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 no power anymore. This is a very, very interesting phenomenon, especially in solar parks with the cable connections. We also provide a lot of solutions for the pulp and paper industry. Here's one example where we have a lot of harmonics in combination with some switching frequencies and in combination with the resonance, just to make sure this is the voltage.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
And this is finished. Thank you very much.
No, actually, it was not your fault. We had a little issue with the sound. So maybe you could repeat the first slides again. I'm very sorry, but the participants could only see your slides but didn't hear you talk.
I will go only to slide number 3 because I think that is the most important one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, sorry that you couldn't hear me the last time. I will not repeat the marketing stuff about my company. If you want to read that, you can read it. Otherwise, I'm not that interesting. What is interesting for me is power quality. And if you look at power quality, you look at 5 features. One feature is the height of the voltage. If that is not correct, it can cause trouble. Height of the voltage can mean unbalanced voltage, voltage sags, under voltage, over voltage, fast changing voltages, which is called flicker. all the problems can be all this can cause problems and causes problems, and all this can be fixed. If you cause a problem yourself, we can fix it with reactive power. If the problem comes from the outside, we fix it with injection transformers. The second issue, which is very, very popular in modern industrial plants, especially where you have a lot of frequency inverters, is classic harmonics. That means you have a 250 hertz, 350 hertz, or in the United States, maybe 300 and 420 hertz, or whatever, 5th, 7th, 11th harmonic signal in the grid. Now, this kind of harmonic, if the voltage distortion, for example, is above 8%, normally we experience seriously failures in the machine park, and also a loss of warranty from the side of your suppliers. If you have a harmonic issue in your company, the supplier is out of warranty of any machine. The third issue in modern companies we see is a lot of high frequency disturbances. The Americans created the name supraharmonics. You can use that name, you can leave it. Whatever it is, it's high frequency signals on your grid, which come from switchings of IGBTs or from commutation notches from DC drives or similar things that can destroy switchboard power supplies, rectifiers, and similar products. Not very nice to have in a factory. The fourth problem is one of the most popular one for me, or my favorite, because it's a very new one. It's coming up with less and less damping in our grids, with more and more energy efficiency. That's resonances of the grid. Wherever you have an LNSC, go back to university second term or first term, I don't know, depends on the country. Omega is 1 divided by square root of L times C. So wherever you have a transformer and a capacitor, you create a grid resonance. And that can be an absolutely disaster. Yeah? Down to explode, as much as exploding transformers. We saw that already. So, and the fifth issue of power quality is still reactive power. That's an old issue, a very old issue, but still sometimes, especially with wind parks, it's an issue we have to address. That's what we do. We have a standard solution for every power quality problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the reputation, Dr. Drese, and thank you to all participants for the patience overcoming this little technical sound issue. Okay, so just to finish it up, your presentation, I would like to ask you also one question. And the question is, what are network resonances and how can an active harmonic filter solve network resonance problems?
Network resonances are occurring wherever you have an LNSC, and that really means your grid becomes a swinging system. And normal active filters, which are supplied by the main actors in the market, cannot solve this issue. Normal current controlled active filters, as you can buy them from several suppliers in Finland, in Germany, in China, wherever, cannot solve the issue. It's a new issue. The most people don't know how to address it. And if you have randomly big problems in your grid and you don't have a clue what it is, maybe invest a few €100 and do a power quality measurement, and you might find out that you have a grid resonance and it's easy to fix. It's causing a lot of trouble, but it's easy to fix.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we will continue in a few seconds. Yes, here we are again, and we will continue with our next German presentation, and Dr. Klaus Fischer is already patiently waiting here, and he will be representing BAE Batterien GmbH. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm just sharing. Welcome to the presentation of BAE Batteries. Some facts about our company. BAE was founded in 1899. We are one of the oldest battery companies in the world, and our aim is to produce premium lead-acid batteries. We have SME status, 180 employees, and we produce entirely in Berlin. Our export rate is 80%. Next. As you can see on the next slide, we have a very interesting history. We started as a manufacturer of portable batteries for torches and automobiles. In the 1960s, we've shifted into rail batteries and transportation batteries, for example, for forklifts. And in the 1980s, 90s, we have transferred into stationary batteries, OPZS batteries, OPZV and OGI batteries, mainly for stationary applications. Next. Our main market segments are stationary applications, for example, for power plants, nuclear power plants, power distribution systems, substations, telecommunication systems, and also uninterruptible power supply systems, for example, grid operators, but also for the operators of data centers. Rail traffic applications include energy for traction, cranking, steering, and onboard power supply of rail cars. We also offer batteries for renewable applications, for example, to store photovoltaic energy in standalone PV systems, but also in hybrid applications in industrial as well as residential renewable energy systems. We have also installed systems in Scandinavia in, for example, containers for off-grid power supply. And finally, motive applications, material handling equipment, warehouse handling equipment, such as forklift. Next. To date, about 80% of our production goes into the stationary market, about 15% into the solar market or storage of renewable energy, whereas only 12–13% combined goes into traction and rail. So this is a diminishing share of market at the moment. Next. We have implemented a lot of quality systems, integrated management systems such as ISO 9001, but also management system to comply with environmental conditions and security and health standards. Since we produce in the middle of Berlin, we manufacture our batteries in a traditional way, and this is the way why. Next. We offer perfect reliability, lowest operational expenses, longest cycle life, easy access of measurements, and also protection against lid failures. Next. Many people say that lead batteries are dead, but that's not true. Lead batteries have lowest upfront cost over lifetime. It's a safe energy storage technology, and also the recycling rate is incredibly high. It lies over 99%. Next. We are worldwide present in all continents with our distributors. Next. Our top countries which are using batteries from BAE are United States, Germany, Egypt, Australia, Belgium, and many others. Next. We are worldwide present in shows. One of the most important is the Hanover Fair in Hanover next. So to sum up, we have 120 years of history in manufacturing high quality industrial batteries. We are the only producer of premium batteries who produces only in Germany. We have an outstanding quality and lifetime, and especially those customers who have a very high requirement on security and shelf life rely on VAEs such as NATO, a lot of operators of power stations, nuclear power stations, data centers, all those who have a very high requirement in reliability of energy supply. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And also one question for you. You were already mentioning the lifetime of the batteries. What is the expected operational lifetime of your batteries?
About 20 years. It depends a little bit on how often you discharge them, how deep you discharge them, and finally also in which temperature range you operate them. But in average, it's 20 years, and this is proven 20 years by many customers. And I can also invite you to contact me. I can give you a lot of references with very satisfied users.
Okay, thank you very much. And our next German company will be represented by Henning Stoppel, and he's representing Frecon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just have to share my screen, sorry. Perfect, there it is, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Henning Stoppel from company Frecon, and Frecon is a private held family-owned company founded in 1988. So we are a pioneer of modern converter technology, introducing full-scale power converters for wind turbines to the market in the early 90s. And now we are an engineering and manufacturing company of power converters and control systems for the renewable energy systems and energy storage applications. And nowadays, over 45 gigawatt of installed capacity already rely on our products that are completely developed, manufactured, and delivered by us. So we've heard already a lot about microgrid, smart grid, implementation of renewable energies, and stabilizing the grid of quality of our modern electricity network. And here our main product becomes an important role. So in the center of the picture, you can see our mighty source converter. And with that kind of converter, you have a possibility to implement all kind of energy source that you can think about. For example, like you can see in that picture, wind energy, PV, even hydrogen electrolyzer, every kind of battery storage solution. You can create a microgrid and directly connect it to some bulk customers that are in the near of. We can implement the energy directly with a grid station to the main grid, and the converter has also the bidirectional function. So, for example, we can do bidirectional EV charging. So here you can see the heart of our technology. It's called MSC Universal Converter, Multi-Source Converter. So it's an IGBT-based grid inverter. It's modular, scalable, starting around 250 kilowatt up to 2 megawatt in one system, and it's scalable up to more than 100 megawatt. So we can fully adaptable it to your application. We fulfill all grid guidelines that is needed at your location. We have more than 98% efficiency in our system, And yeah, like I already explained, so it's a hybrid converter technology. So it enables the connection of every kind of source that you think of. So we can connect simultaneously different kind of battery solutions, like for example, redox flow, LFP, different kind of lithium batteries. We can connect directly PV, wind energy, and this is all possible with very less of losses because we have one common DC link. That means you don't need a converter. For example, your PV system is producing DC voltage. Your battery system is working with DC. And on a traditional way, you have to convert the PV energy from DC to AC. And before you store it in the battery storage, you have to convert it again from AC to DC. And with our solution, we directly combine both technologies in one DC link. That means you have no losses because of the AC-DC conversion. And yeah, despite of that, we can fulfill every application what you need. So for example, everything to stabilize your grid. We can do peak shaving. You can create a hybrid or microgrid. Our converter can do grid forming, grid following. We can do dynamic voltage control. We can even connect it with a diesel genset, and so you can do black start capability. So here you can see our own battery storage solutions. So we have two different kind of solutions. We have Mercedes-Benz energy solution and our own battery solution. So both have their own benefits, and so we calculated to the use of our customers in the technician. So we can also use our system as an uninterruptible power supply. So within 10 milliseconds, we can create our own microgrid so that your production will not stop because of micro voltage dips or any interruption in the grid. And here you can see in an overview our complete field of products. So we are in grid and storage, wind energy, solar energy, and microgrid. And the heart of the technology everywhere is our multi-source converter. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Also for you, one question to sum it up. The requirements on the power grids and thus on the converters and battery technology that you were just talking about are increasing rapidly. So how do you deal with the future capability of your system?
Yeah, that's definitely right. So the market is changing. Yeah, you can say monthly. So there are no compliances, new compliances that you have to fulfill, and nobody knows what will happen in, for example, 5 years. And the benefit is that we have the software implementation and development completely in-house, and our system is completely scalable and future ready. So that means if something new pops up and you already have a system, we can speed up new applications, for example, by developing new software solutions and upgrade your system via TeamViewer, for example, a remote maintenance, or just by maintenance guy who arrives at your system. Or if you want to implement new solutions or size up your PV system, we can just scale up the existing system. And so that means we are always future ready at the market with these kinds of technology. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Then we still have one last. Unfortunately, always one has to be last. One last presenting a German company, and the company is called SynPower and is represented by Johannes Stuck.
Yes, hello, good morning. Could you please quickly confirm that everything is working?
So far we see you.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now. So Thank you very much,
Yes.
everyone, for the nice presentation so far. My name is Johannes Stuck. I'm from the company Zinpower. We're based in Munich, which is in the south of Germany. And this picture you see here is not taken in the south of Germany. It's taken on the island of Heraklion in Greece, where we have our prototype of the ocean hybrid platform. And just for a quick reference, down here, you can see people with a blue shirt. These are normal-sized humans, just to give you an idea of the dimensions of our solutions. So here in Greece, we are operating on our platform, which I'm going to introduce to you now. Basically, this platform is, we call it maritime Lego. It's a very simple structure with very much detailed engineering inside, and it consists of two main components, the structure fences and the floating bodies. Which are made entirely of maritime aluminum. It's a lightweight modular construction, and if you add our floating bodies, then you get the smallest floating unit, which is per se right now just a floating square. Now we can make some adaptations to this solution, and we can increase the length of the pipes, and we can also include more floating bodies, which increases the durability, the buoyancy, and also the amount of load that can be carried by the platform. Now, why did we develop this platform? First of all, our main goal was to develop a modular and industrial solution for wave energy generation. We do this by making the floating body move up and down in a relative movement to the structure. And on the right side here, you can see we have implemented our power trains, which convert this up and down movement into electricity. At a certain point, we understood that our platform can also be used for hybrid applications. And so based on a very similar technology, we can also include small wind turbines on these knots. And of course, we can also include photovoltaic systems. In order to also carry some infrastructure components, the PV modules can be substituted by industrial floors, which allows you to carry, for example, containers for substations and H2 electrolyzers. Our mooring is a similar concept to what you know from boats. So we use a mooring chain with anchors. And all the components were designed to fit into 40-foot containers so they can be shipped worldwide. These are some visions of how we see our platform in the use in the future. Here you see a platform which is hybrid from wave, wind, and solar energy. We can also develop circular economies. Here, for example, in aquaculture. The platform can also be used as supply stations for islands, or the expansion of cities with coastal shores. And of course, we're looking to complement offshore wind parks to balance the overall renewable penetration over the entire year. Now, all of this is not possible without the power electronics coming alongside with them. So we also had to develop these. We have a set of power electronics which are all integrated with microcontrollers. So we can look at a module level, each and every module. It covers electric machines, power electronics, storage devices, and different power-ups. And by combining these modules in different ways, we come up with different functional strings, which finally allow us to build smart grids. And we can combine land-based power generation in very classic photovoltaic and small wind parks, combined with storage and all the energy sources from our ocean hybrid platform, and also bring them to households so that we can build a prosumer network. This is our installation in Greece at the port wall of Heraklion, where our floating platform with PV, wind turbines, and storage is connected to a wall-mounted small wind turbine. And on the right side, in the green circle, you can see our grid inverters. We have a project configurator where we can input some data from our clients, hit the enter button, and get a preliminary configuration layout, which gives us a bit of materials, different schematics, mechanical and electrical, and of course also a preliminary price. So we are very fast in identifying opportunities with our customers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation, and also one question for you coming right up. What's the maximum wave height that your platform can handle, and how do you deal with corrosion?
Okay, so in wave height, we have to differentiate between two types of waves. The first one is the offshore wave, which typically comes up offshore, as the name says. Here we can go up to 16 meters. The idea is that the length of the waves is very long in the offshore. In terms of breaking waves, which we all know from surfer videos, we can cope up to 6-meter waves, but these typically only arise in nearshore conditions.
Okay. And how about the corrosion?
So corrosion, fortunately, we came to a very good solution very quickly. Our installation in Greece, one of them has been in the water for 6 years now. And by combining the right types of metals, you place the corrosion at a point where you want to have it. And we figured this out very quickly. And so now, if I show you a picture of our installation, there's not one flake of rust on it.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the further information. Yes, and that were all our 8 companies. So I just want to quickly repeat, if one or even more of those sparked your interest, please feel free to still contact us, and we are happy to arrange a meeting with them. And then we will have one last presentation today in the program before we go on with the networking. And this is our second Finnish speaker today, Ilari Alapera, who is going to speak about the Fortum Spring virtual battery. Let's see if Ilari is already here.
He should be here in a second.
Yes, on the way. That's the chance to get another coffee before the last presentation. And Ilari is also already here. We just have to get him in. I can maybe, in the meanwhile, already say a couple of words still about Ilari. Ilari Alapera holds a master's degree in electrical engineering and a doctorate degree in energy systems. He has more than a decade of experience working with energy storages and power electronics, and for the last 5 years he has worked as a business development manager for Fortum, and there he is leading the development activities of customer-facing energy storage business with Fortum Spring, and they're focusing mainly on cooperation opportunities with data centers and grid operators. And there he is also.
Hello.
Hi, and yes, you can start right away.
Yeah, I'll share my screen just a moment.
Yes,
and
perfect.
You should be seeing it. Okay, yeah, so thank you for the intro, and thanks for the interesting webinar so far. So I'm here to present Fortum Spring, which is the virtual battery that we have been building for some time now. Just briefly, a few words about Fortum and our partner Uniper. So with the Uniper cooperation, we have quite a nice extensive reach throughout the Nordics and also the Central Europe. And as you can see, Germany is there. So we are very delighted to look for opportunities in the German market as well. For Fortum Spring, so as mentioned, we are an aggregator. We are building, and we have built our aggregation platform now. We started back in 2016. And what we do is we combine multiple assets into an aggregate, and then we use that aggregate to offer different services for transmission system operators or distribution system operators or to the energy markets. And at the moment, we have about 3,000 connected units. We have more than 50 megawatts of flexible electrical loads connected to us, and we are also operating district heating demand response, and we have more than 100 megawatts of flexible heating capacity connected to our platform as well. And we are focusing on different segments. So we have distributed assets here. We have energy storages, we have data centers, and also industrial and real estate flexibility cases as well. And one very good benefit of being part of Fortum is that all of this capacity is traded with the rest of the Fortum's portfolio. So we are not operating the assets individually, but they are being marketed as a part of a bigger portfolio consisting mostly of hydro assets. And there is going to be a quite significant market change in Finland and in the Nordics. So with the one balance model, we can actually then combine them into the same bids and fulfill the same market requirements from different assets. So as an example, we can take very short duration flexibility from data centers and then supplement that with hydropower, which gives us very unique and very nice opportunities to create a lot more value for our customers than standalone battery cases would, for example, be able to do. Then I have a few examples of what we're actually doing and how it works. Let's start with distributed flexibility. We have about 2.5, 2.7 connected water heaters to our platform that forms a 10 megawatt, roughly 30 megawatt hour virtual battery. And what we do is that we basically went around the residential customers and we installed these kinds of demand response units there. And what we do is that we control how the boilers heat up water in these residential homes. And this is an example of how it works. So basically, all of these boilers are in a night tariff control. And in a typical case, basically what would happen is that when the night tariff controls turn on around 10 or 11 in the evening, the water boiler will heat up for 2 to 3 to 4 hours, depending a bit on how much hot water has been used during that day. And then it will basically shut off the heating. But what we do is we distribute the heating throughout the day, throughout the night. So each of these boilers will get the same amount of heating as they would in a typical case, but we just heat the water when it is beneficial for the grid. So we offer frequency containment reserve services from it. And basically, if the frequency goes high, we turn more boilers on. So we store the excess electricity in the grid to these residential boilers. And if the grid frequency goes down, we actually turn off the boilers. So we then reduce the loading onto the grid caused by these boilers. And why we started with the boilers is that in Finland there you have about 500,000 residential water heaters at the moment. But if you think about that, what works in a similar fashion is that something that you plug in at night and you expect to be ready in the morning. So that is basically an EV. The exact same algorithm can be used with EVs. And as we all know, there's a tremendous growth potential for electrical vehicles or e-mobility in general. This is kind of the long-term goal that we're aiming for. So to start up with the water heaters, continue to the EVs, which will bring a lot more capacity in the near future. Then for the data centers, we've been doing the data center business since 2017 when we did the first data center UPS pilot in Sweden for the FCRD market. Then we continued in 2018 with the first data center pilot in Norway for fast frequency reserves. This is also a topic that I handled in my dissertation in the PhD. And now we are in a commercial phase. So we have multiple data centers enrolling for FFR and FCRD in Sweden, Finland, and Norway. And we are looking at a very nice pipeline to bring online throughout the coming years. And as I mentioned, we have about 50 or more than 50 megawatts of contracted capacity. Most of this is actually in a form of data center batteries. So what actually then happens on a data center when they join us is that we come with a controller unit, we connect for the UPS systems, we connect for the grid, so we are measuring the grid. And then we are also connected through the transmission system operators, and through the Fortum Spring platform, we market these. We sell the capacity for the TSOs, and if there is an event, so if the grid frequency deviates, we get the notification from the measurements from the grid, and the UPS systems are then activated, and energy is drawn momentarily from the batteries of those UPS systems, giving us a very nice response for that frequency. But the IT loads of the data centers are not impacted at all. We are mainly pushing the data centers for the FFR market, and the FFR market basically requires a very fast response, but it also requires a very limited response. So we're looking at, let's say, about 10 activations per year with a maximum duration of 30 seconds. And the UPSs and in data centers can certainly handle this, and there's actually a lot of capacity already inbuilt in form of the UPS data center batteries. So we don't really need to build that much new energy storage systems in order to supply this market, because that capacity is already existing there. It's just how to access that. But yeah, we are also building energy storages. This is for slightly different applications. We have done quite a lot of them. So we have done few battery systems for our own generation plants. So we have the Pat Caves. The Pat Cave 1, 2 megawatts, 1 megawatt hour was the very first we commissioned back in 2017. And this is sitting on a CHP plant in Järvenpää in Finland, and it's being mostly sold for FCR. But it is done in a virtual combination of the Fortum's Finnish hydropower assets. So while it is sitting on a CHP plant, it is actually controlled through the same platform, through the same system as our hydro plants are controlled. And the benefits we get from there is that we can actually take the first deviations of frequency onto the battery and then supplement the energy from the hydro reserves. The very same concept is also for the Pat Cave 2, which is sitting in Forsud, Sweden. That's a 5 megawatt, 6.3 megawatt hour battery. It's doing the same thing, but it's only doing it in a local sense, because in Sweden you cannot aggregate multiple assets in that kind of a fashion. So you need to be doing it at the local level. Another stream of the battery systems that we have are the distribution system operator batteries. So at the moment we have 2 systems active. So one in Kuru with Elenia, and the second one at Inko in Finland with Caruna. And what they do is basically that they provide services not only for the system level, so for the TSOs, but they also provide local services for the DSOs. The both Finnish cases here are providing mainly security of supply applications for Elenia and Caruna. And yeah, they also do reactive power compensation in the sites as well. But this allows us to build very nice business cases, because we don't have to get all the revenue from system level services from FinGrid, but we can multi-stack the revenue streams from different applications. And then we have also a case with a data center operator. And this is slightly different than the ones that we typically do, because in this we actually made an investment for the energy storage system for that data center. And we basically use that system to provide FCR, FFR, and we also sell the backup capacity for the data center operator. So it's a very nice case in a sense that we get to utilize the battery system, but we don't have to invest fully in it, because the customer is already owning or is already investing in the UPS systems that are basically like 30 to 40% of the capex cost of the project. Going a bit more detailed into the business model and the joint ownership model with the DSOs. So the current regulation actually states that the DSOs are not allowed to own the battery systems. They're not allowed to operate them on electricity markets, on balancing markets. And basically that means that there's really not that big incentive for the DSOs to own the batteries and operate them for their own needs, because the cost of the energy storage system don't really justify the investment only for the local needs. So in this model, the DSO actually owns the power conversion systems, the logic, so basically the grid connection equipment, and we own the battery components of that energy storage system. And in practice, they offer us a DC connection actually here. And it just happens that we actually published something today about this kind of a model. So we are in a cooperation with Elenia and Merus Power, and today we came out with a press release saying that we are doing 2 more systems in the following years for Elenia with Merus Power, with this same kind of a business model that we are purchasing jointly the systems from Merus Power, and we are investing on the energy storage components there. And you have some of the services listed here. So in the Finnish cases, it's mostly security of supply. In other cases that we are looking and we are doing, but we have not published yet, we're doing and looking at congestion management services as well. So rather than doing congestion management on a customer level, we're doing congestion management on a grid level, on a DSO grid level, which has a lot of benefits because then the DSO can actually reduce their costs from the next grid layer, so meaning peak costs. And yeah, we are also looking into second life batteries as well, because in this concept, we are not selling the batteries out, but we're just selling the service coming from the battery. So then it's natural for us to take the second life, let's say, risk if it's not viable for 15 years or something like that. So we don't have to take the product responsibility of the second life batteries, but we're just taking responsibility of the service that they can provide. And the business model is then explained here. So basically what we do with the DSOs is that we make a service agreement with them and they pay us for that service. So this is the congestion management service or the security of supply service for that specific location. And then of course, we have the agreements with the transmission system operators for the flexibility trading. And then the benefits are here. So we're getting the SLA payments from the customer. We're getting the trading revenue from the DSO. And the DSO is then getting cost savings or investment deferral benefits through the regulatory model. And the investments are here. So they're investing for the grid connection components. And yeah, we're investing for the battery investment things. And there's actually a session about this hosted by Tomi Hakala from Elenia later this afternoon, so you should definitely check that one out. Yeah, some pictures still from the installation. So this is now highlighting the exact components that the different companies are owning. So this is from the Kuru case, and this is the components owned by Elenia. So this houses basically the trafo, the power conversion systems, and these containers from Shaft are housing then the battery storage systems and the controllers directly related to them. Also a similar picture from the Caruna case. Same concept, however, in this concept, this is a 1 megawatt, 1 megawatt hour system from Alfen, the complete system. So basically half of this container is containing the PCSs, and the second half is containing the batteries, and there's a substation connected to it. Yeah, that's all I had at the present. I'm very open for questions if you have any.
Yes, thank you very much. Perfect timing. I was just about to show you the 5-minute signs left.
Okay, well, I wouldn't have seen it because of the setup that I have.
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, but so far, actually, I don't see any questions. Maybe we can still wait for a short moment. Maybe there's still one coming in. But thank you already for your insights on the battery subject. It was very interesting. And as you mentioned, you will be also available there during the networking. You won't be there in one specific session, but just roaming around there and checking all of them out, probably, as they're all interesting to you.
Just one.
Yeah. So you can find Ilari also there if still some question comes up, maybe a bit later. Okay, but thank you. And yes, so we are anyway a bit or close to our, I still got 2 minutes to finish in time. That should be doable. And yes, So basically the program here on the stage is over now, but don't run away right away, because as we mentioned, we still have the networking sessions. And my colleague will soon show you how to find them, so to make sure that everyone finds their way. It's there on you have the agenda there on the left-hand side of your screen where it says reception, stage, and sessions. And now you can change to sessions, where you can see just the view that Fred is showing you at the moment, sharing his screen. And there you can just check who's in the sessions. There will be some of our speakers, as I mentioned, and also some additional experts there from Elenia, Helsinki Business Hub, and Lund University, and also Bergman attorneys for some legal questions. And yes, feel free to go to the sessions and enjoy the networking. And I will say goodbye here from the stage, and only thing to say is thank you for tuning in today, and stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully see you again next year. And the hope is still there that we're going to see in person next time. So thank you again, and enjoy the networking. Bye.